Excited to be here today for another edition of Thriving Life podcast. Yay! All right, what are we talking about today? We're talking about actually falling in love with yourself and your life. Listen, maybe you've asked yourself these questions. Like, why am I carrying so much stress? And how come the to-do list keeps getting longer? And I just keep judging myself. And then I start judging myself for judging myself. How do I get out of this loop? I don't just want to survive the judgment. I actually want to get to being in love with my life. Right? Second thing. Have you ever felt like the traditional tools don't work? It's like they don't work. And that it's not about a tool when you fall in love with your life. You're not looking for a tool, you're looking for an experience. How do you have that experience? How do you make that shift? How do you build that bridge? Are there conversations and relationships, including the one with yourself, where you're just maintaining but not actually changing? And what if the most courageous act you could undertake is learning how to love, respect, and prioritize the dream that's dreaming you? Not you, like you, the person, or you, all the identities and the roles that you have, but actually prioritizing the dream that's dreaming through you. So today we're going to explore how falling in love with yourself becomes a foundation of mastering your ability to flourish through these times of great change. We'll get to that in a second. I'm going to be right back in just a moment because I wanted to actually tell you about something super friggin' cool. We created something called the In Your Flow Quotient Quiz. It's like a flow quotient. Do you know what yours is? Do you know what you're doing that's in the flow and what you're doing that's not in the flow, and how you're taking yourself out and how you're putting yourself back in? Do you actually have a grip on that? Is it clear for you? Because we basically took the 5 major areas of life, like your purpose, like your health, like your energy, like your spiritual practices, and I'm missing one, but that's okay. And we looked at what the most fluid practices, ways of being, and understandings of life are, and ask you questions to help you understand where you stand. And then we let you know where you fit into, what we give you feedback on the practices that you can do. And then there's a wonderful experience that you can have based on where you fit in. And what your flow quotient is. So make sure you go and have a look. Make sure you go and give it a boo so that you can actually do your flow quotient. All right. It's thewideawakening.com/flow live. Go get them. Go do it. Can't wait to hear what you came up with. All right. Next is, all right. So, for a while there, I felt like I was in the doldrums. Maybe you have some of these symptoms. It's like a symptom of feeling almost like, I remember sitting in my bed and going, like, I am not in love. It's not that I'm not in love with myself. I'm not in love with what I'm up to or how I'm being, I would say, the way I'm engaging life. It just felt like, you know what I mean? And so I started to look at my way of being and how I would almost like, it's really funny when you're lying in bed and you're having those kinds of thoughts. then the mind can start to race and the brain can start to look at, well, how can I change it? What am I doing wrong? How can I? And all of a sudden, I'm like trying to fix the problem. You ever tried to do that? And of course, the laws of physics say if you're just running around trying to fix the problem, then your attention is kind of on the idea that you're broken and you need fixing. And that only gives rise to more ways that you're broken and you can judge yourself. And then if you really want to make sure you never change, you can absolutely judge the fact that you judge. Isn't that great? You can't even get to what you're judging because you're too busy judging what you judge. It doesn't work. So how do you fall in love with your life? How do you actually fall in love with yourself when you're having one of those, I'm reminded of Friends, days or weeks or months or years, I'll be there for you. The myth of being happy all the time, first of all, is not what we're talking about. We're not trying to be happy all the time here. This is not an exploration of how to be happy all the time. Human beings are born with an array of emotions for good reason. That's what causes the richness in life. There is this guy named Mo who wrote a book on happiness. He's like one of the executives at Google. It's a fabulous book, by the way. And, his son died. But the way he connected to and got richness and found meaning in a very weird passing of his dear son, the way he paid it forward is what gave his life meaning. So we're not meant to always be happy. Let's get real. So what are we meant to do? We're meant to do exactly what Mo did, which is really be fulfilled, find the meaning, feel the connections, find the intimacy with life. It's not about being everything to everyone, which many women do and some men do. It's not about being everything to everyone. That just requires identities. Identities like you're the funny one, or identities like you're the good mom, or you're the good sister, or you're the responsible father, or you're the whatever it is. This isn't about donning identities in order to get feedback from other people. A lot of times when we bring up this topic, my clients and my friends are really looking to change how they're being in life so that they can end up, getting accolades or getting approval or not pissing anyone off. Not pissing anyone off is like the booby prize to end all booby prizes in this world. It really is a booby prize. So how do you live not the booby prize life? And how do we actually get to a place where we're in love with ourselves and in love with our lives? The first thing is looking at the idea that if creation, God, all that is, thought you were a good idea, there really is nothing to prove. You don't need the accolades from other people. You have life. You have breath. You have people that love you. You're in a world that's absolutely stunningly beautiful. And at any moment, you are given the gift of being able to shift this, I promise. But it starts with the second idea I want to bring up. That it isn't situational. It isn't contingent on circumstances changing. Think about it right now, whether you live a circumstantially happy or unhappy life. Depending on how my circumstances are, that's how I know whether I'm happy or not, right? If this project I'm working goes as I expect, then I'm happy. If it doesn't go as I expect, then I'm upset. It's like that Buddhist myth that talks about the Indian man who lives in India, and he's got a farm, and at the farm, all his horses run away, and everyone's like, oh my god, that's terrible. That's really, really terrible. That's terrible. And he says, you know, they come, they go, who knows? Then his son goes out into the wilderness and is long lost, and nobody can find him. And they're like, oh my gosh, that's so bad. I don't know. I don't know if it is. Then all of a sudden his son comes back and has 1,000 horses instead of 20 horses because he found all these wild horses. And now his farm has 1,000 horses. Everyone's like, oh my God, it's so amazing. Good, bad, I don't know, says the farmer. I don't really attach to that. Then there's conscription and for the army, and his only son has got to go to oh, so bad. And then his son breaks his leg. Oh, so bad. But then he can't be conscripted because he has a broken leg. Oh, that's so good. And with everything that happens, this man keeps saying, good, bad, I don't know. I'm not the universe. I have no idea. And because he stays in neutrality, of course, he lives this life where he just enjoys what is. It's not a circumstantial life. It's not a life where you're living the roller coaster. If I'm overweight, according to myself, then that's bad, and I can never be happy until I lose weight. If you have a million things to do around your house, like we do, I was just outside yesterday with all the things we have to do, I could be completely frustrated and, oh my God, looking at all the stuff that has to be done. But every single thing is just an excuse to go on your life's journey. So one of the things that's really, really important is start to look at living unconditionally. That you were born to have contrast. It's part of the fabric of life to have contrast. It's part of the fabric of life. It's the way life is designed to actually have things that are incomplete. Because you are a creator, and creators need things to create upon. It's part of have you ever noticed that it's never done? It's never over. There's always something else, right? There's always something else, because that's what keeps you the lifeblood flowing through your body. You can either judge being alive, or you can adhere to the beliefs of people that would love to have you just live your life by rote. Be predictable. You can actually create upon what has been. You can actually remain neutral, realize that life has contrast so that you can continue to create, or you can try to wrestle life to the ground to try to keep it very in control, expected, predictable, safe. I promise you that you will never fall in love with yourself or with life if you're trying to prove yourself to someone else, because I don't know if you've noticed, but you'll never be enough, or they'll never say enough. That way of living is just habitual. Maybe it's time to slow your roll on that one. And so it's not conditional on other people approving of you. It's not conditional on other people finally saying that you're enough. Your happiness is not conditional on getting that job, on getting a new house, on leaving your spouse, on staying with your spouse, it's not conditional on any of those things, on your health changing. And the third thing I want to bring up is this idea that if you want truly to find that sense of fulfillment and meaning, let this question run your life. Let this question cause you to be in the inquiry every day. In fact, why don't we come up with a few questions you can use today You can put them on your screensavers. You can put them on your phone, on your, on your bathroom mirror. You can put them in all these places. Just consider that you're being lived by a question. And right now, the question you might be being lived by might be, how do I stay safe? Well, that's not a great question to live by, because the answer to that question does not lead to an expansive life that you're in love with, nor does it lead to you even exploring why you're in love with yourself. How about, what's the greatest thing I can do today that would have me waking up inspired and going to bed knowing I did what I came to the planet for? How about that question? If you didn't get it, you can go back and re-listen to this podcast. Here's a second question. This question is from your future self. So imagine your future self is asking this question. How did I get to the place where I feel so satisfied by this life that I've been living? How did I get to the place where I'm so in love with the people around me? That's your future self asking that question. Imagine living into that question. And finally, here's another question from your future self. How is it that I got to this place where I feel blessed pretty much all of the time? Gosh, what were the habits that I donned in order to just have this sense of feeling blessed all the time? Man, oh man. Right? So, what can you do? What can you actually do aside from living into the questions that I just outlined? Like having the questions drive the bus of your life. Because think about the questions that are driving the bus of your life right now. Why am I so tired? Why am I so tired is not a life you want to live into. Your future self saying, oh my God, how come I've been so energized by these last many years? You see the difference? But what else is it that you can do in order to be in love with yourself? And remember that this is not about living a conditional life, but one exercise you can do that might look conditional to you, but it's not. It depends on the way that you approach this exercise, is to talk to your 5 favorite people and ask them what they love most about you. Just to remind yourself, right? Just to remind yourself. Tell them each to give you 3 things that they adore about you. Right? Secondly, and I have found this tremendously helpful in my life, take some time to get out in nature. Understand that you can only see that which is reflected back. You cannot see the beauty in nature unless you're present to that amount of beauty in yourself. So go somewhere beautiful to walk. You're the filter through which you see nature. So you're actually realizing your own beauty as you're walking in nature. Pretty cool. I remember standing at a vista once over by my oak tree swing, not too far from here. And I remember standing there and looking at the vista with the mountains and in the distance and the valley below, just thinking, wow, just wow. My eyes are seeing this, and the feeling I'm having inside can only be a feeling that resonates with something that I have about myself. It was just as awe-inspiring to realize that. So getting out in nature for me and the beauty for me is huge. And the last practice is this. Look at all the agreements that you've kept with yourself. You said you would do X and you did X. You said you would do Y and you did Y. And then what should come up is all the ways that you haven't done that too. So I want you to start to have grace for the promises you made to yourself or to life or to someone else. And just kind of give yourself the hug that you need. And if you need to phone someone, or if you need to say I'm sorry to someone, say it to yourself. Or say it to someone else. Make a phone call. You can say I'm sorry. I love saying I'm sorry and then saying thank you. To myself as well. Thank you for even having the idea. Thank you for giving it a shot. Thank you for letting yourself be catalyzed by that thing that you wanted to do. Do I still want to do it? Or I'm sorry to the other person. I'm sorry I wasn't there. I'm sorry I fully... And thank you for calling me out on not being there. Thank you for having grace for me. Thank you for seeing me when I couldn't see myself. I'm thinking of someone that I could do that with right now, actually. Sharon. All right. And finally, what does it look like to be in love with yourself this week? What would you eat? What would you be putting a Post-it note about on your bathroom mirror? One of my favorite questions to ask on my bathroom mirror is, how can I feel even better right now? And then I answer the question, I go do it. Right? I just also want to say, over here in the Northern Hemisphere, there's a season change. Think about this, and in the Southern Hemisphere, here it's to spring. Imagine that you're available to a whole paradigm shift. I mean, all the work that we're doing right now in the Wide Awakening is directly the result of looking for paradigm shifts, because there's a paradigm in the world shifting with all the AI, AGI, business shifts, financial shifts, economic shifts, political shifts. All of those things require that we become different. And it really matters that we find a new way to flourish, because the old way isn't going to work. Right? So next week, we're going to be talking about how do you know if you're out of flow and what can you do about it? So doing that flow quiz would be really helpful. We're also going to talk about some things you can do for free to actually understand the flow. And then we're going to talk about some really wicked ass things you can do that cause a certain level of badassery around flow, that are beyond what we'll talk about next week. It's going to be so juicy. So make sure you take the Flow Quotient quiz, and definitely send the Flow Quotient quiz out to some friends. You can take the link, pass it on. You can talk about it with each other, and absolutely invite a friend to watch this podcast next week, especially since we're talking about the results of the Flow quiz. Yeah. All right, you guys. I hope this was helpful, and I appreciate lofty questions indeed, Yvonne. And so I'm so glad for everyone that was listening today. Thanks for having patience on our sabbatical. I'm always grateful to Adam Lamb for being in the background, helping this podcast flourish and helping us pay forward all of the tools and ways that we get to make a difference for you in the world. I feel incredibly blessed. And so please share the podcast, share the link, and we will be talking to you next Monday. And I just want to say, let's keep thriving together. We don't have to do it alone. All right, guys, till next time.